Hello everyone! Here we are again with reported speech. If you haven't watched my other two videos, reported speech part 1 and reported speech part 2, stop this video and watch those ones first. You will need to know that information for this new video. Okay, in this video, you are going to learn 4 structures for different types of sentences in reported speech. There are 4 structures, 4 of them. We're going to look at each one of them one by one. So don't worry, I'm going to make it very easy for you. The first one is statements. Statements are what you've already seen. We've already seen a lot of statements. What is a statement? For example, the sky is blue. My favorite color is purple. Cats are cute, for example. So it's a fact, an opinion, or an idea, a statement. What's the structure look like? Very, very simple. All we have to put is that, the word that, plus our tense change. Tense change is, back in reported speech part 1, you've got a chart with all of the verbs that we have to change in reported speech. Remember, you always have to take one step back. So for example, we've already seen a verb in present simple in reported speech has to become past simple. Or if the verb was in present continuous in the direct speech, we will put it in past continuous. Very good. You should already know those. For this, we're going to have to look at some more verb tenses, more verbs that we have to change in reported speech. So I'm going to give you a chart with 5 new verb tenses that you have to know in direct speech, how we change them into reported speech. This chart you have to copy down. Copy this chart into your notebooks because you're going to need to study and memorize all of these tenses. The chart is right here. Okay, now that you have the chart copied down with the new tense changes that you need to know, we're going to go right into some more examples. But again, we've already looked at statements. Here's an example. I can't play the violin, Rick said. It's a statement. It's just a fact, an idea. So how do we put it into reported speech? We've got right here, Rick said, let's follow the structure, that, so we're just going to write our word here, that, the word that, and now what do? The tense change, that's the only other important thing. Of course, we always have to change other words that there might be in reported speech. For example, certain pronouns, time expressions, place expressions, we always have to change all of those words. But we're just going to follow the same order of the sentence and change the words that we have to change. So that, let's go to the beginning. I. Can I put I? Rick said, I can't play the violin. So can I say Rick said that I? No. Rick is talking about Rick. Rick is a boy, so we say he. Rick said that he, our verb, can't play. If you look at your new chart, can't in reported speech becomes could. So this one's a negative, that he couldn't play stays the same. When our modal is the verb that we change, the main verb doesn't change. It stays the same, just like that in base form. Said that he couldn't play the violin. Do we have to change anything here? No, that stays the same. The violin. Boom. Rick said that he couldn't play the violin. Next one. We have played this game many times, they told me. Okay, here I didn't start the sentence for you so that you can see it's very easy. How do you begin? You have to begin with the speaker and your verb, your reporting verb. So, who is speaking? They are speaking. So we're going to put they told me. We don't have to change this, just copy it again. They told me. Now, we follow our structure. What's our structure? Here in blue. That, we put the word that. By the way, pause for a moment. You should know the word that is actually optional. It's not 100% necessary. A lot of native speakers, especially when they're speaking reported speech, they won't use the word that. So you can eliminate it But for our purposes here, we're going to always put that just so that we don't get confused and so that we understand what we're talking about. So we're always going to put that. But just to know that you can eliminate the word that. They told me that, we go to the beginning of the sentence. We. Can we say we? Okay, imagine situation. Sometimes it helps to imagine or translate it into Spanish. They told me, we have played this game many times. So they told me that. We, no, doesn't make sense. They're talking about they. So we have to change we to they. What's the verb here? Have played. Have played. Which tense is have played? Let's see. Have or has plus the verb and the participle. Present perfect simple. Look at your chart. You should have present perfect simple changes to past perfect simple. Very good. So we're going to put had plus verb and participle, played. Back to our sentence. This game, do we have to change anything here? Ding, ding, ding. This is a word that we have to change. It's sensitive. This, look at your chart that you should have from last year, or if you don't have the chart anymore, you should have seen it in a previous video, my part 2 video of reported speech. The word this in reported speech changes to that. That game. Many times, nothing to change here. You copy it just as it is. They told me that they had played that game many times. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, number 2, we have questions. What is a question? Very, very easy. Questions always have a question mark. So that makes it very easy to know what kind of sentence is a question. Just look at the end of the sentence for the question mark. Okay, the structure of a question. Let's look. You have it in blue. I've made it very simple, okay? Some of you who have studied reported speech in the past, sometimes we say there are 2 structures for questions. I've made it very simple, even simpler than in other years. So all you have to think is this. Does the question have a WH word or does it not have a WH word? That's it. What are WH words? Who, what, where, when, why. Also how. If you have a question with how many or how do I get to the bus station? All of those are WH words. If there isn't a WH word, then we put if. The word if, exactly like that. Another option is whether. Sometimes you might see in some exercises the word whether. But I think if is easier and if is more common. So we're just going to study if. Then we put the subject. Be careful here. In questions, we're going to look at this example now. What's the order in a sentence when you have a question? In English, we don't put the subject first. You have to invert the subject and the verb when you ask a question, right? Well, when you put the sentence in reported speech, it's not a question anymore. Now it's a sentence. It's just a sentence. So we have to uninvert the subject and the verb. That means we're going to put the subject and then the verb. Okay? And of course, our verb has to have the tense change. All of the verbs from the chart. Let's look at some examples. First, does your family recycle plastic? George asked me. Okay, where do we begin? We always just copy this part of the sentence. George asked me. That's the same. George asked me. Let's look at our structure. WH or if? Is this a WH question? Has it got a WH word? Nope. Then we have to put if. Easy as that. If. Okay, next we put our subject. Let's look. Does. Is that our subject? That's an auxiliary verb. That's part of the verb. Your family recycle. Recycle is our main verb. So what's our subject? Our subject is right in the middle. Your family. Your family. So we're going to copy. Oh, can we copy your family? Exactly like that. Let's think about the situation. George asked me, does your family recycle? So he's asking me if my family recycles. So I can't put your, I have to change it because George asked me and I am writing this question in reported speech. So he asked me if my family. Good. Okay, last part, our tense change. We said our verb is does recycle. Okay, here's another point where we got to be really careful. Really careful. You have to think back, like we looked in our previous videos. What's the tense of the verb? Does and recycle. Does is an auxiliary verb. But which tense do we use does as an auxiliary verb for? For the present simple. So that means the question is in present simple. Question is in present simple. So look at your chart. When you have a present simple direct speech, in reported speech, we have to use past simple. Past simple, correct? Now, here's where you got to think. Remember, it's not a question anymore. So we don't put did recycle. Nope. Because it's not a question anymore. It's a sentence because it's in reported speech. So we just have to put the verb, the main verb, or if it's a modal, we have to change the modal. But otherwise, the main verb is recycle. Of course, present simple here. So we're going to put the verb recycle in the past simple. How do I put recycle in the past simple? Very easy. It's a regular verb. So I just put ed. It already has an E actually, so I just put the D, recycled. Whew. That was the most difficult part. Now we just copy the rest of this sentence from the verb. So we've already done, does your family recycle? We are here. The last word, plastic. I don't have to change that one. Plastic. Let's read it together. George asked me if my family recycled plastic. Now, one last note here. Remember, if you have a verb in the present simple, you don't always have to put it in the past simple. When can you leave it the same? You can leave the verb in present simple if you've got a general truth, something that is always true. For example, the sky is blue. She said that the sky is blue. Why? Because now it is still blue. Yesterday it was blue, today it is blue. Tomorrow it will always be blue. Yes? So you can, if you have a general truth, you can leave it the same. You can also leave the verb in present simple if it still is true in the moment when you're writing the sentence. That's a little complicated. If that's too difficult for you to remember, just always put the present simple verb into the past simple. That will always be correct. No problem. You can always put it in the past simple. Okay, next sentence. Next question. Why did you steal these earrings? The police officer asked the thief. Oh dear, he stole earrings. Okay, we begin by copying this exactly as it is. This part is a bit long, but it's just the speaker, the police officer is speaking, and he asked the thief. The thief. What are some synonyms for thief? The robber, the burglar. Yes, the thief. So, the police officer asked the thief. Let's look at our structure. Handy dandy structure. Boom. WH or if? Is this a WH question? Have we got a WH word? Yes. Why is a WH word? So we put this word exactly as it is. Why? What comes next? Our WH word or if plus subject. What's our subject? Why did you steal these earrings? Sometimes it's difficult to find the subject. Why? Because we have the word why, then we have our auxiliary word, so you gotta be careful there. Did, that's not the subject, that's an auxiliary verb, okay? You, that could be a subject. Steal is a verb. Wherever you've got the verb, remember in questions, we always invert our subject and our verb. When you've got an auxiliary verb, it gets more complicated. Or if you've got verbs that have many parts, it's a little more complicated. But it's always going to be right around here, right around your verb. So in this case, you. You is our subject. Yes? It's a pronoun, you. Can I copy you? Exactly like this. The police officer asked the thief, why you? No, because we're not talking about you. We're talking about who. Imagine a situation. The police officer asked the thief. Aha, so then, the police officer asked the thief why the thief did something, yes? So the thief. What pronoun do we use for the thief? Well, in this case, do we know if the thief is a boy or a girl? We don't know. So if you don't know if you have a man or a woman or a boy or a girl, you can choose. Anything is correct. It doesn't matter. So in this case, let's say it's a boy. So we'll use, if it's a boy, we use he. Okay, we have our WH word, our subject. Now we need our tense change. Let's go back here. Okay, we've got why, check. Did is our subject, steal. This is our verb. Did steal. You need to look at both of these parts, did steal, so that you know which tense it is. Did steal. Auxiliary verb did, that's the past simple, right? So look at your chart. Past simple, this is a new one. Past simple in direct speech changes to past perfect simple in reported speech. Another verb changes to past perfect simple. Present perfect simple changes to past perfect simple. Past simple changes to past perfect simple. Very easy, right? Also, past perfect simple in direct speech stays the same. Past perfect simple. There's a lot of past perfect simple, so you have to know the structure of past perfect simple. So we put past perfect simple, always the word had, and then our main verb in the participle, did steal. Our main verb is steal. What's the participle of steal? Steal, stole, stolen. Stolen. Okay, again, we did all of the structure. Now we just copy the sentence from where we were. We were here. Yes, steal. We finished all of this. Okay, these earrings, that's all. These earrings. Can I write these earrings? Anything we need to change? These earrings. These changes to those in reported speech. And then earrings. So our final sentence, reported speech is, the police officer asked the thief why he had stolen those earrings. Number 3, orders, requests, and offers. What is an order? An order is, for example, sit down, stand up, open your book to page 52. It's a sentence that doesn't have a subject. We sometimes call this imperative. When you tell someone to do something, that's an order. This is an example. Don't sit here, Mom told us. Sometimes with orders, you can see the word must. It could be a type of order. Requests are when you ask for something. In Spanish, we say a petición, when you ask for something. This is an example. Could you pass me the salt, please? Steve asked. Steve is asking for the salt. That's a request. And an offer is simply an offer. When you, for example, offer help, you offer to do something. You are going to do something for someone. Here's an example. I can give you a hand with the project. Mark offered. That's an offer. Okay, the structure of all of these sentences is the same. It's very easy. We put to. If it's a negative, we have to put not. In this case, there's no contraction form. You have to put not and then to if it's a negative. If it's affirmative, you just put to. And then our main verb, we have to just find the main verb and put it in a base form. So 2 plus base form, which is really the infinitive, 2 plus the base form. And that's it. And then you continue the sentence from that point, changing, of course, if you have to change anything else in the sentence. With these kinds of sentences, you don't have to worry about the verb change. Why? Because this is where we put our verb. We put to and we put the main verb in base form. So you don't have to put present simple and past simple. You don't have to put future with will and would. None of that. Just to plus the main verb in base form. Let's look. First example. Don't sit here. Mom told us. So, Mom told us. Follow the structure. This sentence, is it affirmative or negative? We have to decide. Don't, obviously, is negative. So we put not. The word to. Then our main verb in the base form. What's the main verb in the sentence? Don't is our auxiliary verb, and sit is the main verb. So we just put it in the base form, which it already is in the base form. Sit. And now from this moment, from this verb in the sentence, I continue and I finish anything else that I have to change. I don't go back to previous parts of the sentences. I just continue from here. So the next word is here. Here, I have to change in reported speech. Here changes to there. Mom told us not to sit there. That's an order in reported speech. Next, we've got a request. If you look, it's in the form of a question. Requests are always in the form of a question. You're asking someone to do something for you. Could you pass me the salt, please? Steve asked me. So, Steve asked me, let's go to the structure. Not to. Is it affirmative or negative? Do you see anything negative? Nope. So we just put to. Main verb in base form. What's the main verb? Could. Is that the main verb? Could is a modal verb, which is never the main verb. It's kind of like an auxiliary word. Our main verb, pass. Put it in the base form, which it already is in the base form. So, pass. And now, from this moment in the sentence, again, I don't go back. This I've already finished. I just continue. Me. Careful with me. Can I say me? Steve asked me. He says, could you pass me the salt, please? So, Steve asked me to pass Steve the salt. Steve wants the salt, right? So I have to put an object pronoun. Steve is a boy. So, instead of me, which object pronoun do I need? If you're talking about a boy, we use him. Steve asked me to pass him. I continue here. The salt. Don't have to change that. Salt is always salt. And what about please? When we report a question with please, you just eliminate it. You don't have to include it. So this is the end of the sentence. Steve asked me to pass him the salt. That's it. The last one, an offer. I can give you a hand with the project, Mark offered. Mark offered, let's go to our structure. Not and to. Is it a negative? No, so we just put to. Main verb in base form. What's our main verb? Again, we have a modal verb, can. So the main verb is right next to it, give. It's already in the base form, so give. And then we continue the sentence from here. We finished with this part, don't worry about it. You. Do we have to change you? Let's look. Mark offered, I can give you a hand with the project. So Mark offered to give, if I am writing this sentence, he offered to give me a hand. That doesn't change. With the project, that doesn't change either. So our offer in reported speech, Mark offered to give me a hand with the project. Number 4, the last one, we're almost finished. Suggestions. What is a suggestion? The word in Spanish is sugerencia. It's like, for example, a recommendation is like a type of suggestion. Imagine, for example, you are leaving your house in the morning to go to school, and your mom says, "It's cold outside, you should take a coat." So she's saying it's not obligatory to take a coat, but it's a good idea. So that's a suggestion. Many times we see the word should or the word let's. That gives us a clue that it's a suggestion. Okay, this one's a little bit different from the other structures. Why? Because there are two possible structures. Both structures are correct. You can use either structure at any time. It doesn't matter. They are the same. So you choose. I suggest you study both of them because either one could appear anywhere in a text in an exercise. The first one is that plus the subject plus the main verb in base form. We're going to use this structure for this first sentence in reported speech. So in direct speech, it says, "He should eat less junk food, the doctor recommended." The doctor recommended, let's go to our structure, that, just copy the word that. The subject, this is easy, comes right at the beginning of the sentence. He, we're talking about he. We don't know who he is, but he. Do we have to change he? No, here we don't have to change he because the doctor is talking about a he, and I'm the one writing this in reported speech. So I'm still talking about he, some boy, some man, a person. That he. So we've got that, we've got our subject. Next we need the main verb in base form. Okay, we've got here our modal verb should. The main verb is eat. We have to put it in the base form. It's already in the base form. So just like this, eat. Huh, he eat? That sounds very strange, Miss Lucy. Yes, it does sound very strange, but it's correct. Why? Because the structure is subject plus the main verb in the base form, not in present simple. So be careful there, it's the base form. That he eat, now we continue the sentence from here, from the verb. Less junk food, don't have to change anything. Okay, and the last one here, the second structure, is simply the main verb in the gerund. What is the gerund? ing. We'll write this here for those of you who don't remember what that is. The gerund is the verb with ing. Let's look at the example. Let's have a picnic, Claire suggested. Claire suggested, let's look in the sentence for the main verb, and we're going to put it in the gerund with ing. What's the main verb? Let's. What is let's? Let's is short for let us. Vamos a. So let's have a picnic. What's the main verb? Have. Have is our main verb. So all we have to do is put have with ing. Have ends with e, so we take off the e and put ing. Having, now from the verb, right here where we left off, this doesn't matter anymore. We copy the rest of the sentence, a picnic. Don't have to change anything there. So there you go. Now you know the 4 structures for different types of sentences in reported speech. Phew!